How we doing, everybody? Look, listen, if you don't appreciate a beautiful submission, you're not much of an MMA fan. However, for me, there is nothing better than an absolutely beautiful, crowd silencing knockout. It's one of the best things that you will ever see. So today I'm going to go through a list of the worst knockouts in UFC history. Now, the word concussion, it comes from a Latin word meaning to shake violently. Now, the brain is protected by the skull, and further to that, it is protected or floats in a cerebral spinal fluid. Now, if you punch someone hard enough, what happens is the brain shakes, and if it connects with the skull, then the lights go off. That is what happens when somebody gets knocked out. If you think about an egg, if you're holding an eggshell, a full egg in your hand, and you shake it violently enough, you can cause the yolk inside to collide with the interior of the eggshell, which will break the yolk, and that kind of explains what's happening in a knockout. And as I say, today we're going to go through some of them, through the most disturbing, the most violent, the most horrific, the top 10 worst knockouts in UFC history. Number 10. Amanda Nunes knocks out Cris Cyborg at UFC 232 in 2018. Now, at UFC 232, as soon as this fight started, these two ladies went at one another and they went to war. It was a very, very exciting fight for the short time that it lasted. Both ladies landing shots, both having success, but ultimately it was Amanda Nunes that got the knockout and shocked the world when she dropped Cris Cyborg and silenced her entire team. Now, as we know, Amanda Nunes went on to be a legend, one of the pound-for-pound greats, and of course the bantamweight champion and the featherweight champion of the world, which she still holds to this day. Number 9. Tank Abbott versus Steve NELMARK at UFC Ultimate 1996. Now, first of all, whoever named it Ultimate needs to get a new job, because, come on, buddy, there's lots of other words out there. Why are you going to call it Ultimate? Now, the 1990s UFC cult hero Tank Abbott kind of personified blunt force trauma. Abbott he was very known to the police. He had served 6 months inside in his early 20s after beating up a customer at one of the bars where he used to work. The judge said, "Mr. Abbott, you are a maniac, and I am surprised that you haven't killed somebody." At the Ultimate, well, he very nearly did do that after he landed an absolutely clubbing right hook. NELMARK folded like a deck chair. One of the most shocking visuals of the UFC in those early years. As we know, the rules did get changed, and Tank Abbott, you got to think that he was partly because of that. The man was very brutal. Number 8, Edson Barboza knocks out Terry Etim at UFC 142 in 2012. Now, when these two were matched up with one another, fight fans all over the world were salivating. Edson Barboza, a very exciting style, great jiu-jitsu, but he's known for his beautiful striking. On the flip side, Terry Etim, not as well known, but he had a fearsome reputation as one of the best Thai boxers coming out of Liverpool, England. Now, when these two met at UFC 142, it was a great fight, back and forth, and it actually won Fight of the Night. But it also resulted in one of the best knockouts of that year, and it actually won knockout of the year in round 3. Edson Barboza connected with the chin of Terry Etim, and down he went almost in slow motion. Timber as he went down. Edson Barboza, you legend. Terry Etim, hope you're well, my friend. Number 7. Quinton Rampage Jackson knocks out Wanderlei Silva at UFC 92 in 2008. Now, these two had fought twice before, and that was actually back in the day over in Pride FC in Japan. Wanderlei Silva had won both times viciously knocking him out. One time sent him through the ropes. He was soccer kicking him, stomping him. It was a brutal knockout. So, of course, Rampage wanted revenge, and when these two both got signed by the UFC, it seemed like an obvious matchup to make. Now, at this time, I was actually a teammate of Quinton Rampage Jackson. We were training together a lot, and of course, coming into this one, he trained very, very hard. He brought in a lot of strikers, a lot of boxers, a lot of knockout artists, and it certainly did the job, because the fight ended pretty quickly. Wanderlei Silva was going forward, pushing the pace, getting in his face. They were throwing kicks, they were checking him back and forth, and then all of a sudden, boom! A massive, thunderous left hook drops Wanderlei Silva, and he was unconscious before he hit the deck. But still, Rampage wanted revenge, went over, got 2 more shots in. Wow, what a knockout. Number 6, Gabriel Gonzaga knocks out Mirko Cro Cop at UFC 70, 2007 in Manchester, England. Now, this fight is when I actually made my UFC debut in Britain. my first fight on British soil, and I fought before Cro Cop and Gonzaga. I finished my fight, I won in the second round, I ran out, I was sitting ringside ready for this one because Mirko Cro Cop was one of the big stars from Pride, and the UFC had spent a fortune to sign him. Now, he was known for his left leg. The right leg sent you to the hospital, the left leg sent you to the cemetery. Now, he was taking on Gabriel Gonzaga, who was a very, very big, strong grappler, known for his grappling prowess, and it was known that whoever won this fight would then go on to face Randy the Natural Couture for the heavyweight strap. Now, when the fight started, both men taking the time, reading each other, looking for openings and all the rest of it, and we were waiting. And we were waiting and we were waiting, thinking Cro Cop at any moment is going to unleash one of the signature kicks that he's known for. But no, it was Gabriel Gonzaga with the element of surprise. Woof, massive head kick, folds Mirko Cro Cop literally in half. As he fell down, he fell over his knee. He might have torn some ligaments in his knee as well. And Mirko Cro Cop, my God, he went down hard. Gabriel Gonzaga shocked the world. Number 5. Michael Chandler knocks out Tony Ferguson at UFC 274 in 2022. Yes, that's right. This one just happened a few days ago, and what a knockout it was. Coming into this one, Tony Ferguson is a fan favourite. He was on a 12-fight win streak, and at this point, he was riding a 3-fight losing streak. So he came into this one very, very motivated. Now, when the fight started, Tony Ferguson looked like the Tony of old. El Kukui was back. He was going forward, stalking his opponent, and actually dropped Michael Chandler with a beautiful combination. Landed some more good shots, but Michael Chandler, being the powerful, explosive wrestler that he is, shot in on him and sent him flying through the air. From here, Tony Ferguson, we know he's got fantastic jiu-jitsu, and he was throwing up submission attempts, triangles, arm bars, omoplatas, you name it, and the fight went into the second round. Just a few seconds into the second round, Michael Chandler came out and just toe-bunged him. As we say in England, when you do an unflattering football kick, you just toe-bung it, or a punt, kicked him right under the chin, and Tony Ferguson, face down, boom, just collapsed on the octagon floor, on the canvas, face down, unconscious for quite some time. And this was shocking because we've never seen Tony Ferguson go to sleep like this. And as I say, he was asleep for quite some time. Fortunately, he was okay, but my God, that knockout was disgusting. Number 4, Francis the Predator Ngannou knocks out Alistair Overeem at UFC 218 in 2017. Now, coming into this one, the narrative was clear. Ngannou was the harder hitter. An absolutely gigantic man that's currently the UFC heavyweight champion of the world. And he was taking on a man with vastly more experience in Alistair Overeem. Alistair had fought all over the world and was actually a K1 Grand Prix champion. So the striking technical advantages all went to Alistair Overeem. However, as we know, one good punch in 4-ounce gloves is all that it takes. And all it took for that glove to find the chin of Overeem was 102 seconds. Overeem was doing okay. He was moving around. But as I say, 102 seconds, boom, a huge uppercut connects with Overeem and almost decapitates him and knocks his skull into orbit. Alistair Overeem hit the canvas and he did not get up for quite some time. And Francis the Predator Ngannou told everybody, hey, you better be careful if you're in the octagon with me. Number 3, Jorge Masvidal knocks out Ben Askren at UFC 239 in 2019. This fight went down at International Fight Week, one of the biggest fights of the year, and it did not disappoint for Jorge Masvidal. Listen, this one was over before it even bloody started. 5 seconds is all that it took. When the fight started, Masvidal faked one way, turned, sprinted towards Ben Askren, jumped in the air and hit him with a flying knee like something you would see out of a martial arts movie. Now, Ben Askren, if you didn't know, he was traded for Demetrius Johnson with ONE FC, got off to a great start, beat Robbie Lawler and then went up against Jorge Masvidal. A lot of bad blood, a lot of eyeballs on this fight, but not a lot of seconds required for Masvidal to get the job done. Now, when Masvidal hit the deck, because it was predictable Masvidal was going to shoot. That's how he won. He can't find his way out of a wet paper bag, Jake Paul. But he can wrestle very, very well. And against Masvidal, the game plan was clear. He was going to wrestle.
Are you intoxicated?
Masvidal knew this. So he shot, jumped up in the air, flying knee, beautiful, and set a new world record, 5 seconds. And as Ben Askren is led there on the floor, fast asleep, unconscious, Masvidal goes down, gives him a few other shots. And then afterwards at the post-fight press conference, they said, hey, Jorge, were those extra punches necessary? He said, yeah, They were super necessary.
They were super necessary.
Number 2. Jessica Andrade knocks out the champion Rose Namajunas at UFC 237 in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Now, coming into this one, Rose Namajunas was the streaking champion. She looked absolutely unbeatable. Now, when this fight started, Rose Namajunas got off to an absolutely incredible start. Beautiful striking, very, very slick. The footwork was just sublime. It really was. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, nobody's going to beat this woman anytime soon. Now, in the second round, Jessica Andrade was trying to get her hands on her. She's known as bate estaca, which means literally pile drive. And she was trying to get her hands on her. They ended up against the fence. She was trying to pick her up. Rose made a mistake, and Jessica Andrade just picked her high up in the air, turned her upside down, and boom, slammed her head first into the octagon, and that was it. Rose Namajunas was asleep. Now, technically, you're not allowed to slam someone headfirst into the octagon. However, just with the scramble or Rose moving, that's the way she ended, and that's the where the head hit. And as I say, it hit hard, and Rose went to sleep. Number 1, Daniel Henderson knocks out Michael Bisping at UFC 100 in 2009. Now, this one, it's a bit of an obscure one. And in fact, I don't even really remember it for some weird reason. But let me tell you, Michael Bisping burst onto the scene in 2006 through The Ultimate Fighter. Now, this guy was brash. He was cocky, and a lot of people didn't like him. And in fact, the UFC had to actually subtitle him back then. So half the people couldn't understand him. And the people that could, they did not like what was coming out of his mouth. And on the other side of the corner there stood Daniel Henderson, an American hero with a totally natural physique. Now, this man had endured so much adversity throughout his life. I mean, number 1, this man was born without a personality. Yes, could you imagine that? So God knows what he was doing on a reality TV show in the first place. But on top of that, this man, he was born with the life-threatening condition known as low testosterone. Now, don't laugh. This thing is terrible. This man, Daniel Henderson, every single week he had to endure shots of testosterone just so he could stay alive. But yet he continued to fight. I mean, can you believe it? And all he got in return was enhanced speed, power, and recovery time. I mean, listen, Daniel Henderson's career is an inspiration to anybody. It just shows, listen, you can achieve anything out there. All you got to do is cheat. Now, when the fight came at UFC 100, it was hotly anticipated by the world. It was billed as America versus the UK. And Michael Bisping got absolutely flatlined in round 2. Round 1 was kind of close. Round 2, Bisping was starting to find the rhythm, starting to find the timing. However, Dan Henderson knew Bisping was going to keep circling the wrong direction. And as he went that way, whack! An absolutely huge knockout punch that we have never seen delivered before. And Michael Bisping fell. He went down and he was unconscious before he even hit the canvas. But old Daniel Henderson, he had to be sure. So he leapt through the air, and as he was falling through, boom, lands with a massive forearm to the face. And that was the end of Michael Bisping. We never heard of him ever again. As I say, I don't really remember much about this one. And in fact, I'll drop the act. I don't really remember much about it. Afterwards, when I was with my team, I kept saying to them, what's going on? What's going on? I couldn't remember anything. I thought I wasn't fighting for another 3 months. I had to go off to the hospital. I got a check. Turned out everything was okay. But I'll tell you the full story of that another time. So there it is. There is my list of the top 10 worst knockouts in UFC history. And if you thought I missed any, then feel free. Leave it down there in the comment section, and maybe I'll do a video on that as well. But still, there it is. Some of the beautiful, some of the worst, some of the most horrific and most painful knockouts that happened in UFC history. Thanks for watching. Subscribe and ring the bell.